CP... what?
CPB, that's constant percentage bandwidth spectrum.
John, you better explain that a little further. But remember one thing, the CPB concept is unique to Brühl and Kerr.
CPB, that's constant percentage bandwidth spectrum. And it's a little bit tough to explain, but basically it's a simple way to get around a resolution problem, a machine speed problem, and an information overkill problem. If you just stick with me here for a moment.
CPB is the modern solution to machine fault detection, replacing old-fashioned FFT. It's not like FFT, which has a constant resolution across the entire frequency range. CPB has variable resolution. It's fine at low frequencies and coarse at high frequencies. This screen shows a 10 kHz FFT spectrum. See that little box at the top? It shows the frequency where the cursor is. See how it increases by 40 Hz every time the cursor moves? No matter what part of the frequency range it's in. It's always the same. It doesn't matter whether you're in the low, medium or high frequency ranges. And that's because FFT has constant resolution. Now look at the same information shown using a CPB spectrum. Notice how the resolution gets wider as the frequency increases. That's really important because in the real world at high frequencies the harmonic patterns originating from the low frequency components have died away. This only leaves the broader frequency effects like tooth mesh harmonics and bearing housing resonance. You don't need fine resolution, and with CPB you don't get it. You only get it at the low end where you really need it. See how CPB resolves the input and output shafts of the gearbox? And it still has a 10 kHz baseband frequency to catch the tooth mesh, but 10 kHz FFT just can't show it all. It's not a reliable fault detector. It can resolve the shafts at 200 Hz baseband, but then you lose the tooth mesh. Bit of a shame really, eh?
You better rush now, because your time is running short.
Well, happily that brings us straight on to concept 7, and that's speed compensation.
Speed compensation? I don't need anything of that. My machines run fast enough for me. Thank you very much.
I don't think you quite got that one. Could you just let me explain?
The speed of a machine always affects its spectrum. We've got a problem. Each component in the FFT spectrum shifts by a different amount. Check out the electric motor slowing down. Notice everything shifts to the left. But with these two CPB spectra we've got flashing at you, the two different speeds have caused all components to shift by the same amount. And we can use that to prevent false alarms. How, you ask? By shifting the spectra back, left or right before we compare them, that's how. That's called speed compensation. See, without speed compensation we get at least these 4 false alarms, but with speed compensation we don't get any. What about that then?
That's smart. Maybe I could use some of that.
You probably could if you don't want your machines to be on permanent alarm status, which would be the case otherwise. But I hope in all this you can see that from concept 2 regarding the use of accelerometers in the proper way, coupled with concept 3 about detecting the right parameter, coupled with concept 4 about the use of relative measurements, and concept 5 about using spectrum comparison, combined with concept 6 about using CPB spectrum, really do mean that you have a machine condition monitoring system which will place the minimum load on your most valuable resource. In fact, how many people work in the maintenance division?
You mean actually working? Come, I'll show you. This way.
Well, based on what we've seen, Dick, I think your organisation couldn't cope with a situation where most of the machines were in the alarm state at any one given time. But you know, condition monitoring doesn't have to be a hit and miss affair. Based on the concepts we've already discussed, you could have a condition monitoring system which would give maximum 2-3% of machines in alarm state at any one point. Now I think even your organisation could cope with that.
Well, that sounds good. As you just seen my points, I'm not too keen on actually doing some working.
Yeah, you could tell that. But I get the feeling you're beginning to warm to this idea. But time's a bit pressing. I should be going. Well, good luck.
Where do you think you're going? You sit right down. I want to hear the last 3 points.
Okay. Let's roll 8, 9 and 10.
You deserve to be thrown out of there.
You've already told me that some of your machines have gearboxes. Now that's interesting because the components coming from the teeth as they mesh will often be 20 to 100 times lower in vibration than say the unbalanced component. That creates a problem for the dynamic range of the transducer, as I believe we covered in concept 2. However, it's also a problem for any display we examine, because we want to look at both at the same time. You need a display which can accommodate both.